Hi everybody, just wanted to show what I've been doing. I had a couple of what do you call it, private messages just to see what I was doing and what I meant by when I posted about what I was working on with seeing what would bleed and what wouldn't. So what I've done with this is I wrote the pens and then went over them with watercolor Derwent. And this was supposed to be the Papermate Flare pen. I put nope. Can't even see these. Oh, was there mail? Okay. Oh. Sharpie paint pen. The Marby calligraphy pen did not work. And I let these sit for a while. When I wrote it, obviously, I didn't go right over it with... I wrote them all, then I went over it with watercolor. So, I don't know. This is just on note paper. And the reason I did it on my note paper is because that's what my journals are. So I'm testing for my own journal. This isn't for these expensive papers and books that you go out and get. This is just note. This is actually one of my journals that I'm practicing in, because that's what I'm working in. Okay. So the Studio G fine liner, that's from Michaels. They're $1.50, so I grabbed it. They're good, not good to watercolor over, obviously. And my Pilot V7 grip, even though it sat for a while, it still bled. So those are the ones that didn't work that well. And there's my nope, nope, nope. Means don't do it. Writing over watercolor with writing pens. So now I put the color down, then wrote over. To see, you know how when you write over gesso or over paint, it'll kill your pens. So I've tried this with Derwent. So this is Derwent watercolor. And they all did pretty good. They didn't do too bad at all. Okay. And now I put which watercolor brush, I believe, that reacts to... What am I doing? Oh! Which watercolor reacts to brush markers? I don't know what the heck what I meant there. So what I was trying to do is use these brush markers to write, all of them. And because, oh, I put water over these. That does not make sense, but it makes sense to me to see what I did. So that was the Artist Loft, that package I showed you. And I put water over it. These are not treated pages. I put water over it, and this is what happened to it. And this was the American Craft stamp pen. I even tried to write stamp over, and it disappeared. The Copic, it stayed. I don't know why I used black over it either. But anyway, the Copic didn't do too bad when I went over it with watercolor. This is a Zig Twin color brush. And when I went over it with water. This is not treated paper before I went over it, so that's why they're bleeding like that. Do not use these brush markers to write or put water over them. Okay, so that's what it is. Watercolor brush reacts to, it's supposed to be water. Using watercolor brushes over black pens. So what I've done was the blue, I used the Copic marker. This peachy pink color is a Zig Twin. The pink there is the stamp marker. And the orange is the Artist Loft. Fine. So what I've done was I labeled all of my pens and then went over each one to see how they did. So you could see. Some of them bled and some didn't. And the reason I tested this is because I sometimes will outline my Prima Blooms so you could see through the color, and sometimes I brush it or my hand goes over it and then it smudges and smears, and I want to make sure it doesn't do that depending on what I use to color my images. Brush markers on matte medium. Okay, so this is no water, this is water. So this is the Inktense. How they end up looking after. The Zig Twin, the stamp markers just totally disappeared on me. The Copic did good, and the Artist Loft disappeared as well. I don't know why that did that. Maybe I just smeared it off. So when I'm coloring with my markers, sometimes my hand will slip or slide over. So I wanted to make sure as soon as I wrote it, I went whoosh, to see if it would smudge on me. And that's what that was all about. To see what did and didn't smudge. Writing pens on matte medium. So the write and swipe test I did as well to check. And the ones that are highlighted orange did good with the, like I wrote it and then I went right away and it didn't smudge. And then swipe first letters after time. Oh, okay, so I wrote, then I waited and then smudged after time elapsed, and those did good after. And this is on matte medium. The writing, so you could see that, like for instance, the pigment liner pen, I wrote it and smudged it, but it did good after it sat for a while. The Bic Market Ultra Fine Point, that's what that's supposed to say. I wrote it and smudged it, and it didn't smudge at all, no matter what. Even after time elapsed, it didn't. Studio Fine Liner, I wrote it, and then I smudged this, and it didn't work. It wasn't good. So these are, like I said, the ones that are pink. They did good after time, so I did the beginning part of this. But the first swipe, see, some of them were the smudging. The AC Slick Writer, I did the smudge right after I wrote it. It did fine. Even after time, it did fine. The Sharpie pen as well did good after time, but it smeared when I first. And the reason I'm checking these is because I like doing my my images, for instance, like this. And this is for my Fobonichi. I do my images and then put matte medium over it, and I want to see what will work and what won't smudge on me while I'm trying to draw to color. The best were the Bic Market, the Sharpie Fine Tip, and the AC Slick Writer for no smudging and smearing. Right immediately after I wrote and after time. These ones here mean that they smudged, but after time they were fine. Oh, I was like reactive matte medium on top. Like I could not figure out what I meant there. All I did was I put matte medium over my stamped images. So this is Ranger. After I stamped it, all these images using VersaFine, Memento, Stampin' Up! Classic, Ranger Archival. Then I put matte medium over it because I think I was checking to see if I was smearing them, the images. This one here is I colored in with watercolor markers with no matte medium, using the same thing, Ranger, VersaFine, Memento, and the Stampin' Up! Classic. And what I've done was I used my Artist Loft watercolor markers, my AC stamp markers, my Zig Twin, and my Copic sketch. And I noticed that the Copic made this bleed, but it worked fine with Memento. Copic smeared the VersaFine big time, and I let these sit for a while. And the Artist Loft, you see it did nothing to the black lines there. But it did here to the Memento. And the reason I'm checking these, like I said, I color my stamped images with or without matte medium. This is without. Okay. Oh, and these are just me checking out my embossing. I wanted to try out the embossing and coloring for my books, composition books that I'll be selling. Versamark Sparkle, UT, and Colorizer. I do have a white as well, clear. This is getting too long. Okay, Derwent Inktense pencils. I'm only doing what I own. So these are the colors without the watercolor, and this is with the watercolor. And these are the names of them. I'm testing these right on paper. Matte medium, I know it works fine. I wanted to see what it looked like without matte medium. Derwent metallic pencils. This is what they look like. And they don't stay metallic once they're watercolored over. Prima watercolor pencils, the soft neutrals. I can barely see, but that's white. And now I got these from my Prima Bloom. And this is a tray of paint from Boo. It's from my daughter. I just really liked her. I showed them before, but this is from her. I like the colors. She gave them to me. I'm happy. Koi watercolor, and this is that small little travel case. And this is how they look. So the reason I did this is because I'm like, oh, I don't know what color to pick or what it's gonna look like, and so now I know. And these are my Inktense blocks, without water. Oh, my nails are filled with ink still from doing this, but who cares? You're here to see what I'm doing, not my nails, like I said before. So there you go. This is all for my own reference. I'm just showing you what I'm doing. Artist Loft dual tip markers. I tried to see if they were going to smear from water being on them. They didn't smear. And that's not with treated, but it does with matte medium. It'll smear my colors because of the surface, the slick surface after. So this is the Michaels Shiny H2O paint tray. And in case you're wondering what I mean, these ones. $3, 50% off if you use that coupon, or 40% off, sorry. Oh, let me get you back into there. And they look pretty vivid on here, and this is what they end up looking like after you mix them with water. Typical, because it's watercolor, right? And they have that iridescent sparkly thing happening here. Let me show you. In the light. Awesome. No, just kidding. Here you go. So that's what they end up looking like. Okay, next. So this is the Michaels watercolor tray paints. Also, you'll find it near the other ones that I just showed you. And this is what these ones look like. Not bad for watercolor. They get chalky, but so what? They're still pretty. And there's my scrap paper I put on behind so I don't bleed through. Oh, the Inktense. Oh no, the dual tip Artist Loft really soaked through. That was the Derwent without matte medium. So kind of sort of bled through. The Koi nuts, yes, you could see behind, but it didn't bleed through. Could be just how much water I put on there too. All right. So that's what I've been doing. Been playing in my book, seeing what I can and can't do and what will mess up. Also, I've been playing with my my writing, practicing my whatchamacallit. Oh, this is my own writing in that book that I told you about. Practicing my own writing and turning it into a font. This is what I am doing. Having fun. All right, anyway, thought I'd show you what I would do in my book and what it's been looking like. Just playing with my books. Alrighty, you guys take care and happy creating.